I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking about she was the pursuer and I gave no resistance. You know, we live in a world where men are expected to do most of the pursuing. And of course, the dynamics have changed maybe the last 10 or 20 years. But for the most part, culturally and in many places in the world, the men are expected to pursue. So when a guy has a woman pursuing him, he's usually in such a state of shock and disbelief that he will ignore every red flag and just go for it, right? Have you noticed how a lot of guys don't really have their walls up because they're so excited that they're going to get intimacy and they have a woman that is chasing them and it feels nice? Because most of the time the guy is expected to do those things. So when a woman does it, I've seen a lot of guys ignore all those red flags because they're just like so happy to have someone so interested in them.
Yeah. And generally the way that men and women are socialized has been different too, and just how they were raised.
Yep.
And it's more acceptable for at least how things are now, that for women to have more physical affection, to be more affectionate, that's more accepted. You know, men are taught to be tough and strong and you know, take it, you know? So in this situation, to have a woman show that type of affection and, you know, attention must be really nice. It must be refreshing.
It certainly is. And so I've got an email coaching today that's going to talk about a guy who had a woman come on strong and he really enjoyed it. So let's see what happened here. Okay, so we got a guy in his early 40s here, never married, and he was with a woman in her late 30s. Now, she's been married twice, and she has several kids. Okay, now, there were two different dads, but both of the fathers have passed away for different reasons. I won't get into the specifics, but neither of the fathers are around. He said, "We met in the beginning of summer of this year. We started dating after the 4th of July and broke up with me towards the end of August. She was the pursuer and I gave no resistance. Meeting with her mom and family friends, going to church, being a part of her kid's life, moving at her pace." So he's thinking, well, I'm just going at her pace and what she wants, so I'm safe. Not true.
Yeah.
Not true.
Especially when, you know, there's attachment styles involved. Sometimes our idea of what a relationship will be or the pace that we enjoy in the beginning isn't one that works a couple months into it or a year into it or more.
That's right. You want to learn about attachment styles and mental health before you get into a relationship, because if you don't look at those things, you're going to be shocked at who you're dating a year later.
Yeah.
And that is putting it nicely.
Yeah.
If you sat on the couch with me every day, you'd understand exactly why I'm saying this, right? Because it's true.
It's true.
It's so true.
It's true.
So and watch what happens here. He thinks he's going at her pace. We're going to church together. I'm hanging out with her mom, her friends. It looks great. Let's see what happens. Okay. When she first started talking, she said she thought that we were moving too fast. Okay, now remember, he said he was going at her pace. I told her she was worth waiting for. It was on after that. So it was almost like she gave him some kind of test there. Is he going to get upset if I say we're going too fast? And then when he stayed calm about it, she was like, oh, okay. He's good. He didn't come on too strong. He didn't freak out. Right? Because a woman needs to protect herself. She needs to know that a guy's not going to lose emotional self-control. And a lot of times when a guy gets a little bit of rejection, that's it.
Right. And
he spirals.
We don't know exactly what her history has been with all of this, I think it would be better to have more of the context to see, the father of her children, how the past relationships went, how her relationships normally go.
Well, we know the 2 fathers have passed away. Okay? I'm not going to get into the specifics of that, but that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Those are 2 major traumas,
Yeah.
and her kids lost their dads, so that's big. He says, our relationship was great and spent all of our free time together when I was home every night and every weekend together. Now, what do we say? You want to take things slow. But when this happens in that moment, you get so caught up in it, you can't control it.
And everyone always thinks that they are the outlier. Well, I have just such a good connection and I know it's going to be okay. I can just feel it. I know it's going to be great. We'll be able to manage this together. And
Yep. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You want to go slow. This is too much. Spending all your free time together, home every night together, every weekend together. Remember, they've only been together for like a month or 2 at this point, right? Something like that. Including her giving me a key to her house. Always waiting on her to get a hold of me to invite me over, which sounds normal. You don't just show up at somebody's house, especially somebody you just started dating. Each time, she told me that she thought I'd be on my way already. So look at how unhealthy that is. She's just expecting him to come over every night without some kind of invitation. Like you're jumping like 0 to like marriage level.
Yeah.
In a matter of just a couple of months.
Yeah. And it's so hard because there is this period of time when you're dating someone and getting to know them and you are excited about them and you're still having to deal with, I have to be patient here because, I don't know this person. They have their completely separate life. There's just so much that gets involved into dating and it becoming an established relationship. And it takes time. Those things are earned. I know sometimes you can see other people who have known each other for 2 months, got married, and lived the rest of their life happy. Sure, that happens sometimes. Yeah. But intimacy is something that's earned. Connection, bonds are something that's earned and takes time. You are not entitled to it like that when you first meet someone.
Yeah, and it's unhealthy because she's kind of like pulling him right in, and he's thinking, well, I'm just going at her pace. But watch what happens here. I mean, this guy thinks he's, just going at what she wants. And I get it. I know when you're in it, it feels great and amazing and wonderful. But if you're not careful and if you don't go slow, it usually falls apart. And that's the sad thing, right? He goes on to say, then school for her started back up, and I was out during the week, but still home on the weekends. We would talk several times a day, before and after she got off of work and before she went to bed. She sent me a video message saying how busy work was and she missed me and that her youngest cried on the way to school because I didn't go. Remember, this is very early stuff.
Yeah, now the kids are getting emotionally attached.
Remember, neither of them had their dads.
Yeah.
So.
And if you can't be responsible for yourself and your own emotions, think about the other people that are involved.
Yeah.
And same goes for meeting her family and things like that. Once you meet the family, other people get involved, other people get emotionally invested. They have their expectations and it might seem like something cute and innocent. Oh, he's meeting the family. I want them just to get to know him. But, it goes a little bit deeper than that.
Yep. Okay. I thought I'd surprise her and went over there.
Surprise!
Did you see Coach Victoria's eyes light up when I said that? Go back and rewind it. She went from to...
Hello.
It's interesting too because she's telling him, I thought you were already going to be on your way over. Yeah. She gave him a key to her place and now let's see what happens when he does it. Right? Talk about being set up here, right? Yeah. It doesn't feel fair.
And, it sounds like they didn't have clear communication as far as what the pace actually was. It was just him kind of assuming and guessing, well, she wants me to come over, I'm just going to go over. Rather than saying, how many days a week really works for you? What does me having the house key mean? Is it for emergencies only? Is it I'm welcome anytime? These things are important to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I sent a text the next morning and didn't hear from her until she got off of work, telling me she was mad that I came over and crossed her boundaries. Now, where does this come from? You gave me a key and you basically tell me almost every night, where are you? Why aren't you here yet? Then he goes over and surprises her. I mean, he's not going to think this is going to happen. I'm not surprised that it happened. When we see the video rewind of your eyes, we know that you're not surprised that it happened. Because we know what happens when you just show up at a woman's place.
Yeah.
But this poor guy, he didn't know. I mean, how would you know that if you didn't see things like this happen all the time?
Right.
He's thinking, yeah, of course I can go over. She gave me a key. She seems mad if I don't go over.
Right.
But this is why we say you got to take your time. Okay. I apologized and sent her video message was why I came over. Followed by her saying she feels like we're moving so fast.
This is hard. This is the second time she's brought it up, and a lot of her behaviors are saying otherwise.
Exactly.
It is confusing.
Contradictory messages here. I didn't know how to respond and didn't text her until Sunday to let her know I had to take my mom to the hospital. I asked her why she thought we were moving fast. She said she can't right now. Then texted me a few days later asking what we have in common if I'd go to church without her. I don't even know what that means.
Asking what we have in common and if I'd go to church without her.
I mean, this
sounds
is
like
such an unusual thing out of nowhere to say.
She starts questioning the entire relationship and saying, are we even compatible? Is this worth it?
Yeah.
It sounds like she's going down that route.
But if for her to phrase it like that is very out of place and seemingly out of nowhere. I'm sure he must have been.
The church thing is interesting too. If he'd go to church without her, basically saying, are you just doing all of this for me, or do you really want this for you? Is this part of your value system to go to church?
Yeah.
And this is probably also leaking into, are you coming over all the time because of me, or is there an ulterior motive? It sounds like she went from being super trusting, giving someone the key to her house that she's only known for a couple months, to now being more skeptical.
Yeah, I agree. But for him, I think a lot of the attraction dropping was when he showed up at the place, which is unfair because it felt like he was set up to go over there and to show up every day. And so I could see why he would be so shocked by this, killing attraction. But it happens, and we talked about that recently, right? Then brought up all these other things, that I bought a child seat. We always take my truck, like her car isn't good enough for me, and I'm controlling. Okay. So the child seat, that sounds like, oh, maybe you think this is going so fast that you need a child seat for your car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like presuming that we're moving a lot faster.
Why is this being brought up now?
Well, I think because she lost attraction when he showed up at the place.
This to me seems a little bit like miscommunication, and dare I even say a bit immature communication.
On her part?
Yes.
I agree.
Why didn't she bring that up when it was happening? Why didn't she say, hey, I noticed you got this child seat, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then taking it to the next assumption of her car isn't good enough.
Yeah, that's just bizarre.
It's taking it kind of to the next level.
Yeah.
Here. And this, in couples counseling, they would call this type of a situation a kitchen sink. When you start arguing about one thing and you just start tossing in other problems that you had with the person. Now she's just thinking of everything that possibly annoyed her ever and is putting it on the table.
In other words, she's looking to get out of this, and she's got to say everything she can think of just so he'll leave her alone and be like, oh, you've got your reason now. And controlling. Where did that come from? How was he controlling? We didn't see any controlling behaviors from what we read, right?
Right.
I had a flashback to my last serious relationship 14 years ago of my ex telling me I should have seen this coming. I deleted her mom, her dad, her sister off of Facebook and changed my relationship status. She said she's seen what I did on Facebook. I told her I was in a fight I can't win. About a week later, I sent her a text asking if we could talk about us. For her to respond, there is no us. Brutal.
Yeah.
Now remember, this is why we're telling you, you gotta go slow. We have a woman coming on extremely strong to a guy she barely knows. Here's a house key. Why aren't you over at my house every night? To there is no us, like 2 months later. Mm-hmm. This is why I'm telling you guys, you have to learn about somebody's mental health and attachment issues.
It also seemed like there was no breakup conversation necessarily.
Yeah.
You know, it sounded like she had said the things that she said, kind of questioning it, and he went off to, delete everybody off Facebook. I know culturally, if that happened in my family, everybody would be talking. They'd be like, who's this guy to block us or whatever, to take us off the friend list?
Uh-huh.
So when family is involved, things get a lot more complicated.
Yep. All right, let's go on here. There's a little bit more. Mm-hmm. She texted me at the end of the week, updating me on her custody court situation with the in-laws. This woman is all over the place. Mm-hmm. Now she's texting him about her court situation. Why would he care? You just said that there's no us. Mm-hmm. And now you're texting me later that week about your court situation? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's just, it's incredibly selfish. Because she's not thinking about how that's going to affect this guy at all.
Mm-hmm. And it's just confusing.
It is. And that the court had been pushed back to the middle of October when it was supposed to be the end of September. A week later, I tried to reach out with no response. Then she sees me in my car on Sunday and texts me to update me on the court case. Again. Remember, she didn't respond to his last message. I tried to push the conversation, telling her I was here for her, even if I'm not around, meaning because he's working. She said, I appreciate that, but not trying to lead me on. This woman is like a ping pong ball all over the place. Like she's constantly changing direction here.
Yeah.
Right? I said it's all in the past. I sent a message to her brother with info that might help her in court. This is why we say don't reach out to family. This isn't going to be good. And not to let her know it was from me. This is what we warned you guys about. She found out and texted me not to help. And the only people she told to the court about was her mom and me. So now she's angry. Mm-hmm. I went into no contact at the end of September. She told my mom she won custody and I was worried for nothing. Okay, so do you see the irony here? He reaches out to the brother, she's mad. She reaches out to his mom, but that's okay.
This whole thing, I'm just trying to understand his involvement in the custody deal.
That's what made no sense to me either.
It sounds like there might be a missing piece here.
The only thing that I could think of was that because he cared about the kids, he cared about the court situation, and that's why she was updating him on it. But it doesn't make a lot of sense for her to reach out when you're saying there's no us and all these other things.
Another question that I'm having is, what did he think of the pace? Because it sounds like she had brought up on 2 different occasions that it was moving quickly. Mm-hmm. I wonder if it ever occurred to him, oh, this is a little bit fast, maybe I should take it slow.
Well, that's what I was saying at the onset, is men don't usually have women coming on like this. Mm-hmm. And so when it happens, we just get swept away, like in a tsunami. Mm-hmm. Right? It's just overwhelming.
It's interesting,
Yeah.
It's interesting.
My mom pushed her to tell me, I guess about the court case. Since going no contact, she has viewed my TikTok profile 5 times.
TikTok will tell on you. TikTok is not like the other apps.
Like a snitch.
Yeah, TikTok will.
Snitch talk.
That's what it should be called.
My mom told me she talked to her right after the breakup, and that I must have taken it as a breakup.
That's what it sounds like.
Well, I mean, I don't see how it wouldn't, right?
Well, I mean, there wasn't a direct conversation about it. It sounded like she was just complaining about things that bothered her.
Yeah. Also, when the conversation of there is no us took place, was the anniversary of her husband's death.
I don't think that's coincidental.
Nope. And that's exactly what I said too. It's probably an anniversary reaction. On big dates like that, you're always going to remember, you know, when you lose somebody or something like that happens, if you're not consciously aware of it and think, oh, I know what today is, it's going to get you. Okay? I've learned over the years, certain anniversaries of people that I've lost, you know, like my mom's anniversary that she passed away is coming up this month. I have to be aware of it because it'll drain me. It'll affect my mood, especially that particular day. But if I'm aware of it, I'm a lot better.
Yeah.
But I know to look for those things. I'm sure she doesn't. Okay. My mom asked if she told me, and she said she hasn't, and is bad at communicating. Well, that's an understatement. I see things I did wrong, but was it all my fault? So this guy is feeling like this is all his fault, and I say it is absolutely not all your fault. If anything, I mean, I didn't see any controlling behaviors that she accused him of. Maybe there was something there that we didn't pick up on or didn't hear in the story. The biggest thing that I think he did wrong here, if you want to say wrong, is just showing up at her house, and that does scare a lot of women, and they lose attraction very quickly for whatever reason. But in this case, it was kind of like he was being set up. He had the key, and she's like seeming like she wants him to show up every night.
It's seeming to me like this whole situation didn't have much structure. It seemed like there wasn't a lot of direct communication. Things really weren't that clear. And so that just makes everything that much more confusing. And going back just to the point of, you know, what did he think of the pace? The point that I think we're trying to make with this video is awareness, increasing your awareness of what is going on. It seems like the other thing, if we're going to say he did something wrong here, or an area of growth, would be just to increase his awareness of what is happening. I'm seeing that he's taken on a very passive role because she's taken on a very assertive role.
Yes.
And so in this type of dynamic, it tends to continue. And at a certain point, you know, it seemed like she wasn't okay with the way things were going. You know, she didn't want to be the more assertive role at a certain point. She was saying, whoa, this is going way too fast for me, even if she was in the driver's seat.
Yeah. There's a lot of mixed messages here.
Yeah.
This is he's saying it's his fault or wondering if it is. I don't see it like that at all. She's given a lot of mixed messages. Many men are not used to a woman coming on strong like this, and so when it happens, it gets swept up. I see stuff like this a lot. So guys, you have to be aware if a woman comes on strong. I know it feels great and wonderful and amazing to get attention like that, but you have to take it slow because you don't know who they're going to wind up being. And so often we think that the person that we get in the beginning is going to stay like that forever.
Right.
And that is just not true.
And the same could be said for someone who has a more anxious attachment style, and suddenly they're receiving a lot of love and attention and affection from a person. You know, it is easy to say, okay, let's go at your pace. Oh, whoa, this is even fast for me and I'm anxious. You know? So be aware of the pace, and also don't be afraid to be a little bit assertive in the beginning. Now, a little bit maybe is an understatement. Don't be afraid to be assertive even in the beginning, to say, you know what, I am busy this week, or I am busy for the next couple of days. You know, let's try to plan something. And reassuring, I do want to see you. I am interested in you.
And when you say assertive, you mean in like setting kind of some boundaries to keeping it going from too fast.
Some boundaries, some structure, more of what you want, what's okay with you, pacing it.
I know it's very hard to do. I know it because I know when guys get in that situation, it just feels so good to them. They're so happy and they're just going along with it. But if you don't, this may be a little bit more extreme than many situations, but it's not as crazy as you think. Right? So you got to take things slow, and you got to take your time getting to know somebody and who they're really going to be, because the person that they are in the beginning, as you can quite see here quite clearly, they don't often stay like that for very long, especially when you have attachment issues and trauma. Now, we know that there's at least 2 traumas in this situation from the kids' parents, and I'm sure there's more than that, because her behavior is just so confusing and all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think that's reflective of her own mental health. She admits she's not a good communicator, and so you got to be careful.
Yeah. So a woman can pursue you, and it can be a really great thing, but remember, a relationship is all about, equality and power. So it seems like in the beginning she had a lot more power as far as how the relationship went. Her say mattered more as far as what they did. I'm sure he was excited to come over too. But just think about that dynamic. Do you feel like there's one person running the relationship and you're just in the back seat? Or are these decisions that you're coming to together? And be clear, no surprises.
Yeah, it just seems like she was, I don't want to say in love, but kind of like in love with the idea of who she thought he would be, as opposed to who he really was, because she didn't really know who he was. And I'm not saying that it's his fault, but she's finding fault in things that aren't making a lot of sense. The car seat, especially that car comment, that was really bizarre. The kitchen sink, right?
Yeah.
But no, I don't think this is your fault. The only thing that you really got to do is change the speed at which you get to know somebody and attach to them. And the more you understand attachment styles and how that comes out in relationships, the more likely you're going to wind up with somebody who's healthy for you and is going to meet your needs as well.
Exactly.
All right, so hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get my help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you need.
Just click on her name to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.